Great. Thank you, Senator Kennedy. I appreciate your comments also about Charlie Kirk. He was known to many of us, and appreciate talking about the political violence as well and how horrible it is in America. It's very anti-American. So thank you for your comments on that. And Mr. Gore, I'll also want to pick up a little bit on the important relationship with India as well, and certainly agree with Senator Kane's comments that we don't want to take that relationship for granted, that it's a very important relationship, and we want to make sure that we are continuing to work with the Indians on all of our areas of common interest. And I agree that we do have more in common with them than they have in common, say, with China, or that we have in common with communist China. And in fact, I've had a chance to talk to the Indian ambassador and talked about getting the trade relationship right, which I know that's one of the things that you're going to continue to work on as well. And that also that how important it is for somebody such as you, who is close with the president, to be nominated to India. And they recognize the importance of that, and that what that means from this administration to nominate you to this position. So I think that it is very, very important what you're going to be doing here. So I'm looking forward to encourage again my colleagues to support your nomination. I want to talk a little bit about one of the areas that's a shared interest here. You know, we've got Indian troops that work with us. We develop relationships. One of those areas is the Quad. And since the start of this administration, both President Trump and Secretary Rubio have committed to deepening the cooperation with the Quad to counter communist China and its effort to dominate the Indo-Pacific. I'm co-chair of the Senate Quad Caucus, along with Senator Duckworth, and I've been particularly pleased to see this focus on streamlining the Quad to deliver tangible results. Despite our trade negotiations with India, the fact remains that communist China remains the greatest geopolitical threat to both India and the United States. This reality is what revived the Quad during President Trump's first term, and will ensure the Quad's relevance and resilience going forward. For security and cooperation shaping the regional technology standards, to infrastructure investment, to securing supply chains, the Quad countries have too much to gain to let bilateral differences stifle continued progress. Mr. Gore, if you're confirmed, what actions will you take to strengthen the U.S.-India cooperation on the Quad?
Thank you for the question, Senator. 2 points. The Quad is vitally important. In fact, after Secretary Rubio was sworn in and clapped in at the State Department, 1 hour after his first meeting at Foggy Bottom was meeting with the foreign ministers of the Quad. The president is committed to continual engagement with the Quad. In fact, there's already been talks on a trip for the next Quad meeting. Earlier this year, I traveled to Japan and had the chance to meet with the Prime Minister of Japan. They're part of the Quad, and they have also emphasized the important relationship that we must continue to build on. On your earlier point of joint troop exercises, those continue to occur, and we would fully encourage that to grow. Just last week, 500 Indian troops trained with our troops in Alaska. That is a great thing. So in spite of this little hiccup that we have had over tariffs, our relationship is much stronger. It's built on many more decades. And so I will do everything in my power, should I be confirmed, to enhance that.
Yeah, thank you. And, I would say, certainly in my conversation with the ambassador, that the Indians understand that this is a trade negotiation and that we're trying to work out a deal that satisfies both countries. So I encourage the administration to continue to work forward on that. We get a successful resolution on this, which will really help pave the way for Quad leaders to move forward. My understanding is there's scheduled to be a Quad meeting later on this year in India, and I would ask for your commitment to getting the trade relationships worked out, but also continuing to push forward that meeting. Can you make that commitment, and can you tell me how you think that summit might work out?
Without committing to exact dates, Senator, the President is fully committed to continue to meet with the Quad and strengthening it.
Great, fantastic. We would love to see that continuing going. One of the other things, too, that's important for my state, talking about the trade relationship with India, is that we're an agricultural state. India has been one where they've had high barriers to agricultural products that are going into India. I think that we've got a lot to offer them when it comes to that. With the trade negotiations restarting, do you agree that getting India to reduce their tariffs on U.S. agriculture should be prioritized as part of the overall finalized trade agreement?
100%. And in fact, I got a briefing on this. Ambassador Greer is literally working on individual items that in the past, tariffs and barriers have made it prohibitive to be imported into India. That will hopefully be changing soon and over the next few weeks.
Yeah, great. And just as my time's running out here, I'll just, a friend of mine was just in India. He sells popcorn. And he was telling me that since independence, they've apparently had a rule that you can only own 2 acres of land as a farmer. And so consequently, you have 11,000 farmers farming 22,000 acres. And clearly, to me, that's not even subsistence farming. So I do think that there's a lot that we can offer India with regard to how they can improve agricultural production for their country. And with that, I believe, Mr. Murphy, you are up.